Hello there everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Lisa the PFJ here. I hope you're having a lovely Sunday today. For many of you that will be the final day of your weekend, so I hope you're having a good one. For me it's the start of the week, so back to the grind for everyone. Particularly my husband and son, where guys have to go to work and school. I remain at home and hold the fort down here and make a nice video for all of you lovely people. So welcome back, and I hope you're having a good one. Today I'm going to continue my little experiment that I started last week, which some of you seem to quite like, and try and do a movie review in 10 minutes or less, although I do believe that might be a bit of a struggle because I have quite a bit to say about this movie, and for a change it's pretty good, and it will be about the film that is probably on everyone's minds at the moment. It's the hot movie of the moment, and it's Top Gun Maverick, which myself and my family went to see yesterday morning. I fucking loved it. Let's just go straight into it. It was fantastic. I was expecting by the time I went to see it, because I have spoke to people I know here who have been to see it already, and just from seeing some of the reviews online, I've heard nothing but praise for it. So I was actually like, I'm kind of excited for this now, and bit of hesitation on our front because we've got a 9-year-old son, and thought, is it going to go over well with him? He wasn't overly keen about it. I mean, his bag at the moment, if it isn't anything related to Super Mario Brothers or superheroes, then he doesn't tend to be that interested. So a slight amount of bribery and, promise of burgers and, sweets later on that day kind of sweetened the pot for him a bit, so it wasn't too bad. And as it turned out, he actually had quite a lot of fun too when he went to see it. And I'll relate a little bit later on about something that was quite nice relating to him, and his reaction to the movie as well was something I'll mention towards the end. But it was an amazing movie. We had such a good time watching it. I came out of the cinema with the biggest smile on my face. I had the best time. The last two movies I've been to see at the cinema were this and Spider-Man No Way Home, and both times that's some of the best fun I've had at the cinema in years. Both films were so much fun to watch. It doesn't stray too far from the formula of the original. I've seen the original a couple of times. I'll admit right off from the start that it's not my favourite movie. It's very much, it is what it is. It doesn't try to pretend to be anything else. It's a typical classic 80s machismo action-filled movie. It's very of its time, and that's fine. I've got nothing against it for that reason. But just from a personal standpoint, I suffered from a lot of overhype syndrome from it, because as you might remember if you've seen any of my old videos, I've mentioned it before. I was in the military myself. I was in the Royal Air Force for 4.5 years, and everyone you knew loved that movie. It was something borderline, sacrilege if you said you didn't like it. So which was why and I wasn't shy about saying I didn't like it. I didn't like it that much. I didn't hate it either, but it was the type of movie it's supposed to be, and that was fine, but it just wasn't for me. But this one was great, because what it did really well was it took all of the cool things, all the good things about the original. So it took all of the action stuff, it took the bravado and the testosterone and all that stuff. It took all of those aspects, and it kind of upgraded them. It was a love letter to the original, so it was what it did was it updated all the stuff it needed to update. So you've got an update of the characters. So you've got some of the old characters from. You've obviously got Maverick. There's references to Goose in the film, even though obviously he's dead if you've seen it. And by the way, I'll say from this point on, why don't we just put a spoiler caveat, because I might go into some aspects of the plot. I'll try not to go too heavy on it, but yeah, there might be some spoilers ahead, so be prepared. There's references to Goose, but there's also connection to him via the fact that his son is in it now, the character Rooster, played by Miles Teller, who's very good in this film, by the way. I have to say, I like him quite a bit. Well, I haven't seen a lot of him, but what I have seen I do like, so yeah, I think he should be one to watch going forward. So there's connections to it. It's a love letter to the original film in my view. It takes a lot of the good parts and updates the parts that need to be updated, adds in some new characters, gives a fresh perspective, but without being disrespectful to what came before. It doesn't berate. There's the odd references, obviously, about calling Maverick like a relic, and he's a thing from the past, and he's getting a bit old and everything. But it's never done in a really, like a mean-spirited way. It's more of just a sort of reference to the fact that he's getting a bit past it, which is obvious to anyone watching because of how long ago. It's 36 years ago since the original film came out, which, wow. There's so many good parts of it. The cinematography is amazing, the effects are brilliant, and the fact that they used practical effects rather than just relying on CGI for everything it made all the difference. There's some of the scenes where they're filming from outside looking into the cockpit, and you're seeing some of the faces of they're quite obviously pinned down from the G-force that they're feeling from being in an actual fighter jet. It's makes all of the difference, and it's really impressive and really well done by everyone involved. All the supporting characters are really good, right from the recognisable people. So you've got some characters who are the more older, wiser characters. So there's like the Admiral, played by John Hamm, who is in charge of the mission, which Maverick has been brought on board to teach. Who's quite he's quite gristled by. He's a bit rubbed up the wrong way by Maverick. He clearly doesn't admire him the way that a lot of other people do, and finds him a bit overly confident and a bit too much of a loose cannon, or whatever you want to say. And he makes it known from the beginning that he doesn't want him there. That he doesn't see why he's here. But again, it's not done in a sort of disrespectful way. It's done more in just a way of like this. They're two very different types of pilots. They're people whose career trajectories, have gone very different ways. And it just makes them clash for that reason. Not to like belittle them or anything, or no one's belittling each other. It's just a bit of fairly harmless military banter between them. So yeah, there's that. There's plenty of those kinds of characters, and then the newer, younger brood of pilots who've been brought in to be taught to carry out the mission, which is at the centre of the story, are all really good as well. You get good, decent little intros to them. None of them are sort of elevated more above one another than is required, other than maybe Rooster, who is the Miles Teller character I've just mentioned, and who's the character who's kind of the Iceman of the new one, whose code name is Hangman. His call sign, is Hangman, and those two take kind of focus, but everyone else is given their piece to say and given their little role to do as well. And none of them are sort of elevated above one another more than is needed for the purpose of the story. So that was pretty cool. Quite a lot of camaraderie around them as well. It's a bit over the top and looks a bit sort of cheesy. Like there's the touch football scene, which is a bit reminiscent of the volleyball scene from the original, and it is there, and why it's there. It might be a bit cheesy to you to watch, but it's fun. It's harmless. I quite enjoyed it. I really liked Jennifer Connelly in the movie as well, even though a lot of people I think complained that she wasn't given that much to do. But she's given enough to do where she's... I think a lot of people complained that they thought she might have been a bit more tied in with the plot, and they could have explored her relationship with Maverick a bit more, because she's the love interest of his character for the movie, and it's alluded to that they've got history with each other. They go back quite a while, but I mean, again, I think it was explored just enough where she's not given more of a role than is really needed, and she's something of like a vessel for Maverick's conscience. So she's a soundboard for him a little bit when they discuss about, you know, his feelings about, you know, his role in Goose's death in the first movie, and, you know, the responsibility that's now made him feel towards his son, and the role that he's played in kind of, you know, torpedoing his naval career. But the reasons that he gives, and you find out through his conversations with Jennifer Connelly's character, are they're pretty solid. The reasons why he did it, he's done it out of a sort of loyalty to someone else, and as a promise that he made. And it's made clear that he's doing this so that the only person that Rooster will ever feel any resentment towards will be him, and not anyone else who might have been involved. So that he takes the sort of burden on himself, and you find all this out through his conversation with Penny, I believe her character's name, that Jennifer Connelly plays. So she's kind of a conduit for, you know, for to use too fancy a word, sorry, but Jennifer, yeah, she's kind of a conduit for his conscience, and sort of is the process person for who he goes through the process of like processing his guilt related to Goose's death. So yeah, I think just that she's good, but she's just, it's nice to see a character who is a smart and a capable woman, but she's never like disrespectful or, you know, mean or nasty, or just like looking down at Maverick as if he's just, you know, a piece of work who needs to be, you know, sorted out and needs to grow up or mature or whatever. She's cajoling to him in her way. She's like kind of teases him and, you know, makes fun of him a little bit for, you know, his being there. But yeah, as they get the process of their, like, how they progress through the movie with their relationship with each other is pretty nice. I thought it was pretty solid all round. My favourite scene, however, though, from the entire movie is his interactions as well as his scene where he actually appears in the movie with Iceman, as Val Kilmer makes a brief comeback to have a scene with him, and it's beautifully done. I thought it was so good. It was emotional, but without being schmaltzy. It was just a nice exchange between two, again, in a different sort of dynamic from the interactions he has with the John Hamm character. These guys have obviously got history. They go way back, and they have like a mutual respect for each other, even though their careers have taken very different paths. And this isn't giving away too much because it is hinted at in the trailer that Iceman has he's an admiral now. He's Admiral Kazansky. He's the head of like the USS Pacific Fleet. So he's gone through the career progression that you would expect someone like him to. He's been promoted several times, whereas Maverick has remained the captain, and he's just wanted to stay as a test pilot and, you know, test the limits of his abilities over and over again. It's like he's kind of stuck that's what he thinks is his only outlet, is the only you know, purpose that he can bring to his military career. So, but through this interaction with Iceman, he acknowledges this, and you come to like a head of, like, you know, him feeling the emotions that he's feeling, also related to the role that he felt he had in Goose's death as well, and how he's been with his son up until this point of the movie, and he helps him sort of get through that and come to a realization that, you know, he needs to let go of his feelings towards not just what role he might think he had and what guilt he feels over Goose's death, but also how it's made him feel responsible towards his son, and it's actually kind of impeded on Rooster's career progress, whereas he just needs to realize that he's a grown man and he's a good pilot, and that he needs to actually, you know, spread his wings, literally. So yeah, it's a great little emotion. There's enough emotion in it that you feel it, and it's a really nice little moment for Val Kilmer to come back, because if you know about you may not know about his current situation. He's got issues. He had throat cancer. He's had surgery done, and he actually can no longer speak. So there's it's done nicely where they're interacting, where Val Kilmer's Iceman is typing onto a computer screen what he says to Maverick, but he does eventually actually manage to say something. He says like a short few words, and it's very emotional, very impactful, and I very much enjoyed that scene. It was my favourite scene of the whole movie, and if you see it yourself, I'm sure you'll feel the same, because you're just watching two really good you forget, and I mean I forget, sorry, I'm not saying you forget, you probably know, you guys probably know, but I forget very often how good how good an actor Tom Cruise actually is. You know, I mean, everybody sees him as, you know, either they'll see him as the action star from Mission Impossible and Top Gun, movies like that, or they'll see him as the, you know, the funny characters from the things he's done with Jerry Maguire and everything. But even through some of those roles, he's proved he has great acting chops. He's a very, very good actor. And Val Kilmer's, he's legendary as well. You know, he's been around for decades, and he's had some fantastic roles as well. Particularly, one that stands out in my head is when he played Jim Morrison in the Doors movie, which was phenomenal. If you haven't seen it, please check it out. So it's a fantastic film. And yeah, it's just two like great actors getting to sort of do their thing and like show how good they still are, even though they're, you know, in terms of Hollywood and starlets, they're legendary at this point, but they're still, you know, big names. And you're just getting to see two titans of the industry sort of do their thing, and it was really cool to see. I really enjoyed it. There was a few surprises in it. There was a formula to it, but it was good that they stuck to that formula, because I mean, everyone involved. I think Tom Cruise was an executive producer on the movie. Everyone who was in the creative side of it, they obviously knew that the formula works, so they didn't stray from it too far. And a lot of it requires a bit of suspension of disbelief, because there's some moments where he's testing a stealth plane. I believe it's SR-72 Blackbird. Excuse my nerd speak, but yeah. It's the update from the old Blackbird plane, which, if you know, is like a high level stealth plane, which is used for reconnaissance, and it's like the new updated version of that, and he's testing it to see if he can get to Mach 10, which is obviously the speed levels that these aircraft can do. They're measured in Mach, and he pushes it a little bit too far. And he, again, this is a spoiler, but I've already warned you, so you've had your warning. So yeah, he pushes it that little bit too far. It goes wrong. The plane breaks up in the air, and he ejects. Which, if he ejected, he'd probably be turned into soup. So if we're being entirely realistic, there would be some major injuries involved if he wasn't dead. So, But it's Tom Cruise, it's Top Gun. Again, you can make some allowances as long as they don't like do it over and over again, which they don't after that point, because it occurs quite early in the movie. He ejects from the plane, and he lands in some like town in the middle of nowhere, and he walks into a diner, and he's all dirty and everything. He's still in what's left of his suit, his flight suit, and the diners are all the customers in the diner are all staring at him like wide-eyed, like what the hell is going on, and there's no words spoken, and he just sort of sees a waitress who has a tray of drinks, and there's a glass of water on the tray, and he just points it and takes it and drinks it while looking around at all these customers who are all staring at him. And it's quite a nice little light-hearted moment, so it was really well done as well. That was quite fun, and my son thought that was hilarious. He was like full like hearty stomach grabbing sort of laughter at it, so that was quite fun to see. And to round that off, like what I said earlier, what was one of the nicest things that I got to see was my son's reaction to it. Which there were some moments where he was like really surprised, you know, he got a little bit sort of tensed up when some of the more intense things happen, and there's a lot of noise, obviously, because we're in a proper, you know, movie theatre with the Dolby surround sound stuff, and it was quite loud and quite shaky and everything, and he got little moments where he was a little bit, you know, but he was okay. He survived it, and as he got on, he actually got more used to it as the film went on, so that was cool. But what was nice as well is that myself and my husband both got to sort of relay some of our experiences, but we got to relay some of the military jargon that was said throughout the movie, which we thanks to our history, I mean, my husband's is much more extensive than mine, but we knew a lot of what the code words meant. We know a lot of what the terms meant. They knew a lot about what the aircrafts were and what they were capable of. We were just, there was the F-14s, which were very old. They had the F-18s as well. They had, like I said, the update to the Blackbird, which was quite cool to see. But every now and again, he would just lean over and go, because there's a reference to bandits. He said, "What does bandits mean?" It just means bad guys. It's just like, in the most simple terms that a 9-year-old could understand, obviously. But yeah, that was quite nice, being able to sort of share that with him. So yeah, quite fun for that reason too. So, but overall, it was just a phenomenal time, a fantastic movie. I enjoyed it start to finish. I mentioned to my husband last night as well when we were talking about it. I said I don't remember being bored through that movie at any point. I was engaged and fully focused on what was going on the screen the entire time. The only thing was when I was talking to my son when he asked me questions about it, but it never got annoying because it was nice to see, because I saw it was him when he was asking questions about it. It meant that he was interested and he wanted to know what was going on. So it was like that was nice for me as well. But when that wasn't occurring, I was fully on the screen the entire time. I was not bored throughout the entire run of the movie, so that was really cool to have that happen. That happens way more often than it should, and it's also nice to see a movie that isn't like either a reboot. I mean, it's a sequel, so okay, there might be the thing of like people might give that as a thing, saying, "Oh, it's not exactly original, is it?" But they're not trying to reinvent the wheel. They've taken something that's successful. They've taken some of the notes from what was successful from the first one, and they've actually done some new stuff with it to just update it a bit, which has made it even better, and in my opinion, an improvement on the first. So yeah, that was nice. It was just nice to see something that wasn't, like a remake or a reboot, or it was a remake but kind of not a remake, but or what's more like a superhero movie, which I quite frankly have fatigue of at this point. And see it do well as well, because it's made, I think on its first weekend, at least domestically in the US, it made something like $150 million, which is really impressive, and probably puts it on a trajectory to do very, very well overall and internationally. So, and I very much hope it does, because it definitely deserves it. So I think that's a nice way to round off. And I've probably gone way over 10 minutes at this point, but I did say that at the beginning, so there, I did that caveats it, so it counts. Yeah, so thank you very much for watching. I hope you got something out of this. I hope you felt this. If you've seen the movie, I'm sure you felt the same way. If you didn't, give me a little comment down below. Tell me why you didn't like it, or if you just want to tell me why you liked it. If there's anything you agreed with that I said, tell me that too. If you liked the video, please consider clicking the like button and subscribing to the channel as well. If you want to share it with anyone you know who might want to see the movie, but keeping it quite light on the spoilers as well, which I think I have, then feel free to let your friends know about it. And I'll leave it there, and I'll see you on the next video, everyone. Take care, and bye bye.